Okay, one last one before I let you go. Tonight on Pro Box on YouTube, we got Immanuel Aleem, Lester Martinez.
Yes. Yes, I'm so glad you asked me about this. You and I have talked about this, and you can see I'm smiling right now because I'm extremely excited about this. So I have to preface what I'm going to say with saying I am a big fan of Lester Martinez. I love the way he fights. I know in many respects others thought the fight of the year last year was between Conor Benn and Eubank Jr. In my opinion, with the rankings that I have that we put out on Boxing News 24, we actually had a very, very different opinion of that. I should say Boxing News 247 and Eastside Boxing, which they formerly were. We had a very different opinion of that. And so for me, the fight of the year last year was, in this case, was Mabili against Lester Martinez. I thought the fight had everything we look for in major fights. So it had action. It had sort of ebbs and flows in terms of who was controlling the fight. Big punches were thrown. Also, you had a title on the line. So in my opinion, given the way that fight ended, and it ended in a draw, I believe that, that fight for me was the fight of the year. So when I saw this fight come up on the docket between Lester Martinez and Immanuel Aleem, I was very, very excited about that because I think Aleem is another fighter that for many people falls under the radar, and many folks may not be aware of him, but he actually has fought some really good fights. And so Lester Martinez, again, as I said, is a fighter who I enjoy watching. He's trained by Bud Crawford's trainer, in this case, Bomac. So this is a fighter who I can easily see being in that title contention year after year. And from his country, he'd be one of the, if I'm not mistaken, like the first champion from his country, world champion from his country as well. So this is like a huge fight that I'm looking forward to. And given the stylistic matchup, I can see this one really having a lot of punches thrown. And I can see both fighters really doing well. I know there's also been a little dust up in the opening of the promotion between the two teams who have been arguing with each other as well. So for me, it has all the makings of a very good fight. The fact that it's, that folks can watch this on ProBox on YouTube and actually be able to check this out is sort of like an added bonus. Like it's like a cherry on top, on top of the cupcake or cake in this cake or pie. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll definitely be glued to the TV, and I would, I'd hope others would be watching as well, because I think it's going to be a very entertaining fight that you'll be happy that you saw.
Well, I didn't get a chance to look at the odds or whatever, but I'm sure Lester's probably the favorite. I think this fight had fireworks written all over it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it really can't miss. I mean, this particular fight, I don't see this one going the distance. And if you know anything about Lester Martinez's fighting style and the way he comes forward and how he throws punches with power, how he sits down on his punches, I think this is really going to be an exciting fight. And based on what we've seen with Immanuel Aleem saying early on when he's been interviewed, and or what we've seen at the weigh-in and at the pre-fight buildup, I think this is going to be, again, a fight with a lot of fireworks that most people are going to enjoy for as long as it lasts. But I'd be very surprised if this went the distance.
Do you think the important components of this fight could possibly be conditioning and chin? What do you think?
Well, I can say if you're fighting Lester Martinez, and I think this is one thing that surprised me about Christian Mabili, and that's not to say that I underestimated him in any way. I know he's a very gifted fighter, very talented. I was actually surprised given the style that he fought in that fight, sort of coming forward, trading shots as much as he did. And he really showed that he had, I'm sure in many cases, or to many people, he had a better chin than I'm sure some people thought he did. And he actually did very, very well in that fight. Both fighters, as I said, put on, for me, the fight of the year. So I think in this particular fight, if you're going to fight Lester Martinez in this case, I think Immanuel Aleem certainly is going to have his chin tested. And I'm sure he's going to also bring some fire back to Lester Martinez as well. So again, a great fight. Chins will be checked, as my guy Curtis Stevens used to say back in the day. But, I think this is going to be a great fight. And again, this is just fireworks written all over it. And I think for those who who choose to tune into this fight, they're going to be thoroughly entertained for as long as it lasts.
All right, you guys heard first, my man, Paul Jones.
Appreciate you.
Good to see you again, Paul.
Always a pleasure, Mike. Like I said, thanks for extending the platform. Again, folks should tune into that fight tonight if they can. That's going to be an awesome fight between Aleem and between Lester Martinez. And certainly the Jetter card that we're going to see in April, like you said, at the Inner Harbor, I think that's going to be another fight for folks who want to come out, see a local card, support the local promotional outfits, and see some fighters who are being developed and brought along very well, top ranks. Scooter Davis, of course, as we said before, seeing Tyler Langer, seeing Pavlov, who I'm looking forward to seeing more from. I think they're going to be entertained by that card as well. So really good boxing slate coming up in the next month, and certainly a lot to look forward to in the sport of boxing in 2026.
Couldn't have said it no better, Paul. Appreciate you, brother.
As always, pleasure.